Yeah, welcome everyone. Today we have another online panel. As always in December, we would like to do some kind of outlook for next year. I think it's an exciting time to discuss what is happening now and what is happening in the future, basically next year, especially with things like the Bitcoin ETF coming in the US, Bitcoin halving coming, more companies getting ready. Last week we had Societe Generale entering into the market with a stablecoin. Today we have heard the announcement of DWS starting with a stablecoin project and so on. So there is lots of things to be expected for 2024. We would like to focus on Bitcoin and Ethereum, and we'll also touch a couple of other topics like stablecoin, but that's the focus. And with this, I would like to get started with an introduction round, and I would like to ask everyone here to very briefly present himself and the company he's working for. Who wants to get started? Maybe Sven. Would you like to get started? You're working for Bitcoin, as we can see it in the picture.
I'm a strong supporter of the Bitcoin ecosystem. Let's put it that way. My name is Sven. I'm working for Börse Stuttgart Digital, and my official job title is Executive Director, Business Development and Strategic Partnerships. And thanks for the cheers, Dirk. So in this realm, I'm responsible for the development of the institutional product. One of the things, and the other thing is that I'm also taking care of our strategic partners, as my name just said. And with that, I think I'm going to hand over to Dirk.
Yeah, thanks. The cheers were not from me, so apologies for the noise. I'm sitting in the Philippines in a hotel, and I think there were some kids partying outside my room. So, hi, my name is Dirk Röhr. I work for Deutsche Telekom. I guess we are quite well known. We provide telecommunication services around the world, and there is a small team which I head, and we take care of infrastructure for decentralized systems, meaning validators, nodes, oracles. So this covers proof of stake as well as Bitcoin nodes. I hand over to Philip.
Hi, thank you, Dirk. My name is Philip Ridaily. On a personal side, I've got like 20 plus years in capital markets and exchanges. And Kaiko is a digital asset data provider. We provide market data for digital assets of all sorts. And I'm in charge of, I'm a managing director for so-called strategic initiatives, looking at how we can bring value with data solutions to the market in the DLT future to come.
Perfect. And then finally, let's move over to Thomas.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Philip. My name is Thomas Becher. I'm working for Metaco. Metaco is a leading tech provider for custody solutions. I'm responsible for sales in DACH and Central and Eastern Europe.
Perfect. So welcome, everyone. Let's jump directly into the topic. Where are we standing right now, end of 2023, with regard to Bitcoin, Ethereum, and so on? Who wants to get started? Are we still in the crypto winter? Are we already in the beginning of a hype? Where are we? Please provide us some orientation. Thomas, you would like to get started?
Okay, yeah, no problem. My personal opinion is that you know, all the people who started to invest in this, you know, first mover coins years already ago, at least in my you know area, they all kept the feet under the table for the last couple of months and years because of the big down on Bitcoin, and they're all in a position of waiting. So I think what is necessary, or what should happen or has to happen, that fresh money is coming in. The existing ones don't really move. That's my detection on the whole thing at the moment. Sven, what's your opinion on that?
Well, that is nothing that is an opinion. That's just the data. So when you look at the on-chain data, and that's one of the beauties of blockchain. Wow. So you can basically just look at the on-chain data flow, and when you see the percentage of tokens that have not moved within the last 1, 2, 3, 5 years, then you can see that I think it was 70% of the tokens have not moved in the I think it was the last 3 years or so, if I remember correctly. But when you're talking to me, I would say, well, everything below a certain point, which is not reached yet, is still a dip. So I'm monster bullish on Bitcoin, as everybody knows, and I do believe to have some substantial some substantial viewpoints why I am so bullish on Bitcoin. But I'm sure we will be digging deeper into that conversation later on.
One question on top of this: when we now saw Bitcoin surging from $25,000 to more than $40,000 in the last couple of weeks, who do you think has driven this development?
Yeah, I think it's been mainly driven by the faster moving traditional investors now. So I don't think that there is a big in the uptick from 15 or from 17 to the place where we're standing right now. It was not the usual retail investor, because the interested retail investor has been flowing into the system in the last 2 bull cycles, and the next big flow of retail money in the system will probably come when big banks will be announcing their integrations, because that is a target group that doesn't want to have an extra app, that doesn't want to do anything extra. If their bank says to them, well, now you can buy Bitcoin, they would say, okay, let's take 500 euros into Bitcoin. If I just have to click that button and I don't have to do anything else, then that's all right. So it is just that the type of person getting into Bitcoin now from retail side is different than the one who went in 17 or 19 or 20 or so. That would be my my stance on that. And giving that, then this also goes to the institutional side of things. So if the question would be, when are our institutions coming? And when are institutions coming? The answer is yes, they are coming. Yes, I do believe some of them are already secretly buying. But maybe Philippe can say something more about that, because there might be some data underlying or underpinning this, or maybe being contradictory. But I think that 2024 will be massive for the industry.
We will talk about 2024 later on. Let's first look at the status where we are currently at the end of 2023, right? So maybe to you, Philippe, how do you see the current stage, and who is driving the current development?
Yes, what I can say is, as it's facts as well. The deal flow of new customers for our own company as selling data to institutionals. We only sell to institutional. The deal flow has started again to go up. So we for a long time, until maybe the end of the summer, beginning of the last part of the year, it was very flat. So it was in full bear market. So we ourselves, like many, were very careful in not spending too much money, etc., etc. But since a few weeks, 2 months, the deal flow has started again. So it means conversations that were on hold are resuming. People who didn't want to, even talk, come back to us, accounts. So that's the first thing. The second one is that we see globally, and it varies across regions, financial market participants setting up teams for real. So there's a new wave, like now the whole infrastructure is ready for them. So from custody to risk management tools, people selling data like we do, market access, etc. And there's a wave of them getting ready for next year. So Philippe, I mean 23, meaning that this we see it today, as if it was a preparation for something happening next year.
Very interesting. So this is, yeah, please, Sven.
Philip, are we allowed to interrupt each other?
Yes, of course.
course.
It should be a lively discussion. Please go ahead.
Perfect. So I think the stuff that Philip just said is absolutely right. There was a lot of talking especially on the institutional side. There was just a lot of talking and not a lot of acting. And now you see, the talks finally kind of like came to an end. There are still big institutions who are not very sure where their DLT activities are, but at least there are multiple DLT activities in their setup, and now they're really packaging it together. And I also do believe, and it was a quite tense time in 22 and 23. But I believe being an experienced person in the digital asset and crypto space, you will be having massive inquiries from recruiters from the traditional old financial and banking system in the future. So I do believe that everybody who went to Frankfurt School and was sad in 22 and 23, thinking like, why did I do that? They will be looking to a very prosperous future.
And I think
I
this
guess
is
so.
logical, Sven, because I already had this in the last webinar. But the point is that we at MiCAR had a lot of banks who signed contracts last year. Yeah, but with signing the contracts, there's nothing there. They have to do something. They have to run a project, and the project in integrating, a custody solution and all the coins and everything to the core banking system and fueling it into the e-banking application. As you said, Sven, they don't want to have a second application, the end customers. It takes time. It takes time, 6 months, 12 months, maybe even 18 months. So I'm also the same opinion that there is a catch-22, or was a catch-22 in 23. There was no big demand, so nobody accelerated the project, and there was no offering from the banks because they hadn't integrated the solutions they bought a year ago already. So I think,
but this would mean, Thomas, that retail investors, all the individuals, they have stayed absent 2023. In case new money comes in, this would be other types of investors, investment funds, whatever, family offices, asset managers, right?
Yes, I think in majority you're absolutely right. But I see a small piece of the cake. I don't know, hard to guess, that there are also let's say old style retailers are coming in, the one which go to, I don't know, one of the offerings of crypto natives, because the news about big giants going into the market, and then having the stories of the old investors. I invested €1,000 and now it's 70,000 value or whatever, made everything a little bit, keen to do something as well, and to ride this third wave also, not standing on the side again and then asking themselves, why haven't I done anything?
Before we come to Dirk, Philip, you raised your hand because can we see this in the data?
I guess we can, yes. Meaning I won't answer. No, I wanted to mention another point, which is in 23 there was the emergence of the AI as well, and that has to me two impacts. One is short term and is quite not very positive. The other one is long term and is very positive. The short term one is that the teams, there has been a budget reallocation within firms and authorities towards AI.
Absolutely.
And an FTE as well, reallocation. So short term is to the detriment of cryptos and DLT-based projects. And we hear like we have to fight with the general management to demonstrate that this is still relevant, despite it being there for a long time and not yet at scale and profitable. The long-term benefit is that with the global general optimization that the blockchain and crypto assets provide, probably AI was the missing piece to handle a number of, not all of them, but a number of tasks or perform a number of functions. So we now have the emergence of a new modern tool, and a number of things that were difficult to make before, like risk management on illiquid assets or bundling of qualitative information with quantitative information will be in the future. Probably not now, but we now have the emergence of a solution that complements. So
Yeah,
I would
very
say,
interesting
to
point.
answer your question, 23 for me is also the year of AI emergence.
Yeah, we also see this at the blockchain center, right? That the awareness concerning blockchain, Web3, metaverse, and all our topics have been shifted a little bit towards AI from an innovation perspective, especially from the innovation teams at banks. Okay, now finally, Dirk, what's your opinion about what status we are currently in? The question was, are we still in the crypto winter, or is this already the beginning of the spring?
Okay, I guess I can make some sort of a summary. It is not my experience that German institutional are really entering the market. They prepare themselves. By preparing mean they get the technical setup in place, but to be really participating, I mean like investing. I think at least not officially and not on a big thing. On an international level, I absolutely agree. I think this is where a lot of the money comes from. I also concur that AI took a lot of the bright light from blockchain companies, basically ran after the next trend and, like the typical hype cycles. But I think at the end of the day, a blockchain basically covers the financial markets. It's the perfect tool for the financial markets. And this is the biggest use case there is. And this is where the music will play in the future. But coming back to your basic question, are we still in the bear market? No, I definitely think we are out of the bear market. We have recovered from, I think the low was 15 something thousand dollars in Bitcoin. We almost tripled, like we had 44 something thousand in last week. So I think if you look at the history, there are waves, there are up and downs. And I know that basically all the models were broken or are broken when it comes to prediction of the Bitcoin price. I'm not predicting any Bitcoin prices, but for me, indeed, the rainbow chart is one of the best models there is. And if you look at the rainbow chart, we are now in the accumulation phase when you look at the price. So we are still green, so it still make sense to invest, and it's a good place because I think the risk to have a downtrend is low compared to the probability of an uptrend. And I love to say and make the last statement, then I'm done. It was a pleasure with everybody who invested to front run the suits. So this was a real pleasure, and I think this is a unique opportunity we've ever had. The banks were always first. Whatever trend, whatever opportunity financially came up, they were the first and sold everything with a big margin to the rest of us. And now it's exactly the opposite, and this gives me a lot of pleasure.
Very nice. We talk about 2024 in a second. So let's basically make a little bit of an intermediate result here. What about the institutionals, right? Are they now here or are they not here? Because we have heard mixed opinions. We have heard that in Germany, institutionals are largely absent, right? Largely absent. That's different on an international level. But maybe Philip, did you analyze some of the data you have to provide more insights here on an international level? So to really shed some light on the question, where are the professional and institutional investors
active? Yes. For instance, we have a product called reference rate. So reference rate is what's the price of all those tokens, right? So for Bitcoin, it's very liquid, it's fine, but for others, it's difficult. What is the basis you take to make an average? Do you keep outliers or you don't? I mean, there's a lot of things to be done before you can expose a price that serves as a reference in financial markets. Well, that has been chosen by the CBOE, for instance, as a reference for the futures. We're in contact with other platforms and other exchanges, and it's the continuation of what I said on 23. It's like when the deal flow is incoming, it's also incoming in terms of using quality platforms for trading, using quality suppliers, and in the case of data, using quality data. So this we think is going to increase next year. I guess I'm wondering who's going to talk about the ETF.
Yeah, we come to this point later on. Yeah.
Later, but yeah, I will say for me 23 is what the end of 23 looks like the beginning of the year 24. So right now, those products will be used, and if they are used, then I infer the consequences. It means that trading will come back. Maybe more volatility, I don't know, but I see no reason why there's an increase in using such kind of data products if it's not.
But I think Sven made the point in before. Sven, you said that then on the retailers that the ones who want to go in now don't want to go in through a crypto finance native, and they want to do it through their e-banking. And I think that's the same for the institutions. I mean, do you really believe that a big institution would invest 100 million through whatever crypto native you want to point out now? I don't think they want to do this, or they will do it. And as long as the banks don't offer that service in a large scale on a secure way, or exchanges, I know, but regulated exchanges, and now have a look how many regulated exchanges we have. I mean, you cannot count about exchanges which are crypto natives. I mean, in the real typical way. And we have 2 customers which are regulated exchanges. You're one of them, and then another one sits in UK with Ajax. But there are very few regulated exchanges on the world. So how can institutions at the moment invest and be secure that their wallet doesn't go busted like FTX or any other bad thing we had in the past? I think that's the key when the market will accelerate.
And don't forget the ETFs here, right? It's not and that's why I think in Germany we have the Z-Bank and Commerzbank now having gotten granted the custody license, because this way an institutional doesn't need to move away from these banks, because then they can stay with their bank, no onboarding required, and purchase digital assets this way. But we need to move on, turning towards 2024. In case you are now imagine 2024, what do you think will happen? How would you envision this year? Let's start with Dirk.
Okay, my bet is we will enter 2024, the halving, with with the price close to the all-time high, and we will reach an all-time high after that. I think that the next bull run will be different. They will sort the wheat from the chaff, meaning I think the casino will come into play, but I think it will not be as loud and colorful as it was in the last bull markets. I think this has something to do with how Bitcoin and all the narratives which were thrown at it basically were fought by the Bitcoin community, so nothing really stuck. And the big institutions like BlackRock and Co. Through the ETF application, ground Bitcoin basically. And what can you really say against Bitcoin anymore if there is an ETF and Fidelity and Co. is trading it? So I think there's going to be a lot of money.
It's boiling the ocean. That is something you can say against Bitcoin. It's boiling the ocean.
But we all know that this is not true. I know that the latest thing I heard when I was on vacation, now all of a sudden the water consumption is a problem. I think they are grabbing straws here. But my point is that Ethereum will get an ETF as well, and I think Ethereum will benefit from the Bitcoin run. But I think all the others. This will be shorter, and I said, and less extreme than it was in the past. And people, especially the professionals who will enter the market on a broader scale, they really will look for the use cases. So this is my point. I don't want to make price prediction, because I think this is I wouldn't say unprofessional, but I don't want to do call out numbers. I just want to give the people or our listeners, the audience, an idea what my opinion is, and I think Bitcoin will drive everything. Ethereum will benefit, but the rest will basically also profit, but not as hard as it used to be.
Stable coins will profit. Just joking.
Yeah, but true, and I think we need them. I think we need a euro stablecoin which can compete with Tether. That is my personal opinion. I think that this keeps, that people can transfer tokens like a stabilized token as fast as they can transfer crypto tokens. Think about Lightning and a stable coin on top of the Lightning network. This would be a game changer.
Definitely. How are you envisioning 2024, Philippe?
Well, let's talk about stable coins. MiCAR is coming, so stable coins in Europe at least will upgrade. I think I'm not sure there's going to be a convergence around €1 stable coin, because I remember when I was a child, we used to have in Italy liras, and liras, they were issued by different banks. So I mean, it's the same currency, of course, but here we have different issuers, and it's a payment that we all think probably is intermediary to cover the time before we have a CBDC in place. So we think they're going to be the emergence of many stablecoins proposals. As a fun fact, talking about Forge stablecoin, we spotted out that a fake stablecoin is trading on Uniswap, right? So that's an interesting thing. So we know, tracking this. This might happen in the future. There's going to be fake money, so there might be a boomerang effect of the regulation. So yes, stablecoin, we see them emerging this year. And then for the rest, I mentioned already before, like because the deal flow is coming, then institutions are coming, ETFs are coming. So if you pull that string, it means that the whole trading machine is starting again, from asset management firms collecting the funds of people who think they want to be exposed to that new asset class, and then investing either directly or through ETFs. The minute you have ETFs, you got an inflow that's very important, meaning a rotation and a speed of trading that is coming back. So we think, we don't know when, but we think it's going to be this way this year. Plus, I'd finish with macroeconomic conditions. Like it might be that interest rates are back to reasonable trend again. The last very uncertain thing is the geopolitical scene. But I would say otherwise, it should be the year of increasing volumes.
Yeah, perfect. Sven, what about you, 2024?
Yeah, I'm
You're getting nervous.
I'm really getting nervous because I think Philip just said, okay, and now then it will be the same again, kind of like pointing out to the last markets. And I would slightly, but well, not really slightly, I would largely disagree with that because we are in a completely different setup now. As you can see from my haircut, I've been in this industry for a long time. If you compare it from an industry perspective and from a traditional financial world perspective, so I've been following this for 5, 6, 7 years, and I was always looking for this big moment when finally the big German banks will have integrated Börse Stuttgart into their backend systems as infrastructure providers to get their clients the easiest Bitcoin exposure possible. And that simply was not there. Not on the retail side, but also not on the institutional side. And to be quite frank, most of the investment committees of the traditional financial world, they didn't get it at all. And this has dramatically changed. This has changed in a way that it was, and it took so long, and now we are finally there. So I am I'm so super hyped. There's stuff that I'm not allowed to tell you, but there are things that are way beyond. And Dirk, there I also disagree with you because I know from a fact that it is different, but I just can't tell.
What is
So,
different?
well, that's the fact that I can't tell.
Yeah, well, you must do, but you can refer to the topic. So where do you think I'm wrong?
Yeah. Where I think you're wrong is the degree of how far institutions are with their integration efforts in getting it really on the ground and not talking about it, but really have a product right to go. So I think you're underestimating how far they are at this point in time.
I don't. I think then perhaps I didn't say it correctly, or perhaps you misinterpreted. I said they are working on it. I'm just saying they are not in the market yet. They are not heavily investing in it. That was my point.
That is correct. Okay, that is correct. That is correct. That is correct.
I want to do a correction.
I think if you talk about institutionals and the banks, and you know the two big banks with the D at the beginning in Germany, they both are more or less, one is already live at this DZ Bank, it was in the media, and the other one will be live in the next couple of 1 to 3 whatever months.
What's the other one with a D in front?
Deutsche Bank.
MiCAR.
Deutsche Bank. Okay. Yeah, okay, Deutsche I got.
They at least have
but the point is, and I think that's the beauty of the institutions as customer. The institutions will not do heavily day, seconds trading, whatever. They will rather go for investment and have the positions longer. So all the banks, and I think this is the first step they already committed and already had done already, or being in the near the finishing line of having the custody integrated, that they can offer all the thing as we had it 20 years ago in the stock market via ordering via email, whatever. You can do all the things manually. And an institution normally does not, as I said, buy and sell within a day tons of bitcoins. They will go into the market and then they will hold it for a longer period of time. And I believe that due to the fact that now the banks, not only in Germany, but also in Asia and in other countries, are ready or more ready than they have been a year ago. And so I'm more agreeing with Sven and a little bit disagreeing as well with Philip that we have a different situation. A year ago, none of the big banks globally really had a working infrastructure. They had the test playgrounds. They worked with playgrounds.
Totally agree.
Even worked with real money. But I mean, even if you take the Siemens corporate bond, 60 million is a test case. That's not a real, I mean, it's real money, but it's a test case, if you talk about the global market. And I think this all has been done last year, so I also see it positive for the next year that there is much better environment and that the banks are ready to enable that service for their customers.
I agree. I would like, before to answer Thomas and Sven, I am in line with you. Maybe I said it wrong. What I meant is it's going to be lively again. The reason is the one you described. I'm 100% aligned that this year is different. It's institutional. Okay. What I meant is we've got all the signs that we exit those preparation time, etc., or bear market, and it's going lively again for the reason you described, like institution coming and the contribute.
So I guess we all
but we have heard this talk about institutions coming. I mean, I've heard this talk for years now.
Exactly. This is why I started my answer to Philip's question on the deal flow, the products that we sell. This is facts, right? So we know what we sell to which institution, exactly like the same you say, Sven, you cannot disclose. Probably they are the same, buying other products on the other side or another place of the value chain. So this is happening now, and I totally agree. We exit the experimentation from the institutional and we enter into production. So it's the start of a market, and probably people in the trading rooms, they will start, trying and find the respective roles and practices, and it's gonna be interesting to see how the institutional market bootstraps and starts, how the liquidity will be built, who will bring liquidity, who will take, who will contribute. It's going to be an exciting year in terms of institutional trading.
Yeah. Okay,
may I ask a question?
Yes, Dirk, please.
Like just a quick one to the other one. So I guess we have an agreement, like roughly, like there are nuances where we differ, but I think in general we all have the same opinion. But my question to you guys would be, so do you think, or what do you think institutionals will prefer token-wise? So do you think they will participate in the shitcoin casino, or do you think they will go to the top, I don't know, 5, top 3, even perhaps top 2 tokens or protocols?
I think for institutionals, there are two things counting: liquidity, because they want to go out if they need to go out, and the second one is let's say safety, yeah, or compliance. In my opinion, these are the two things. When an institution will invest, if you apply that rules, the answer is easy. It's not the coins number 300 on the market.
Probably
the potential is much higher.
Probably it's the tokens 1 and 2. That's Bitcoin and Ethereum. That would be my guess.
Sorry, I have to complement here. There's a third element, which is the clients of those institutional.
Yeah.
So if you're in asset management, the answer is whatever my clients wants to trade, as long as it's maybe not a shitcoin, but so it's not only 1, 2, 3. It might be much bigger. First, because there are a lot of coins that are utility coins and that are serving the blockchain itself. So they will have a fundamental there. And second, because institutions as asset managers, they will bring in volumes and therefore risk management practices on those less liquid assets.
Yeah. Excellent. Let me quickly summarize it at that point of time, and thereafter we will talk about the Bitcoin ETF. So I would also add 1 or 2 points. What can we see 2024? I think on the macro level, we see inflation rates coming back here and there. We see countries like Japan and China withdrawing US treasuries. This is something which should not be unexpected. So they are in search for new assets. They are not moving directly to Bitcoin, but at least we see it already. They are moving towards gold and so on, not in large fractions, but here and there. But the global macro domain should not be underestimated. Then next, we have the Bitcoin ETFs probably coming. We will talk about this in a second. Then we have had the catastrophes of 2022. FTX, Celsius, and so on. This has been digested, and some people have gone or will go to jail. So that's basically already in the past. I think this is also a chapter which here and there can be closed. That's, I think, important from a psychological perspective. Then we have a very, very interesting observation I made recently, because in the media now a new narrative for Bitcoin pops up, which is Bitcoin is scarcer than gold, or will be scarcer than gold. This is something I've never heard before in the media, but it pops out here and there. You see it, for example, in Switzerland. In Switzerland, a discussion broke that Bitcoin should be viewed separately from the other crypto assets. That's a discussion which did not happen at all, but in Switzerland, this discussion is basically starting. That's very interesting to see. Ethereum is also an interesting platform, right? But still, this discussion is starting. And of course, we have the Bitcoin halvening, which has also been mentioned by you. That's, in my mind, 5 reasons why we indeed can be optimistic about next year. Before we talk about the Bitcoin ETF in 2 minutes, what are remaining threats for the crypto sector, or basically reasons why, for example, the prices drive down significantly? Who wants to add something here? Sven?
Yeah, well, I'm advocating for this. So I believe the biggest threat is political influence. And the reason for this is totally understandable. So if I would be a politician, I wouldn't be the biggest fan probably of Bitcoin either. So the threat doesn't come directly. So we've seen that when you're looking into the MiCAR regulation, for example. In the MiCAR regulation, there was a proof of work ban discussed. that was in the MiCAR regulation at the first place, and then there were negotiations, and finally it didn't go through. So the ban was put outside of MiCAR regulation. But then ESMA and EBA have been have gotten the task to develop so-called regulatory technical standards, and these regulatory technical standards are under consultation phase right now. And when you're looking at the regulatory technical standards, they come with a lot of burden for the crypto asset service providers here in Europe, which is different to how, for example, the American regulator that some of the folks in Europe kind of like look a little bit down to, but in fact, the American regulator does it differently. So I have and I don't used to be afraid, but I'm afraid that Europe might make the mistake of being way, way, way ahead of a lot of other jurisdictions at this point in time, and now losing it again in the last leg. So I think that is something that everybody should look deep into. How does the MiCAR regulation and the stuff that comes with it have an impact on the business model? And I see that Thomas was nodding his head, so he also looked into that already, probably.
Yeah, and I think what you mentioned is very important, because if we were all based in Europe, and I mean, I know, Dirk, you're somewhere else at the moment, but we always look with this European, or with this, let's say European point of view. But I mean, the Bitcoin rally, if there is one, will be a global one. It will be not, pushed only from Europe. So the question is, as you said, what is about the regulation in US? What's in South America, what's with Africa, what's with Asia. So all these things, I think, play into that the same thing. And the positive thing is that at the same time, the SEC said XRP is not a security. They also said Bitcoin for sure is not a security. But I mean, what's with all the others? Yeah, I mean, if we have to wait for an SEC vote for every of the coins, then I mean, it's not relevant for Bitcoin, but for the others. Yeah, the question we had, that which one will profit from the acceleration of Bitcoin. And I think globally, it's one of the most important things that man has to look on how is the regulation in that region, or in that country, in that particular one. And I think US is an important economy. I mean, if they invest, then they invest heavily. Institutions.
Yeah, excellent. Let's move on finally in the last couple of minutes and talk about the Bitcoin ETF. Do you think the Bitcoin ETF will come? And if so, when? Who wants to give this question a start? It's very speculative. Nobody knows. But in case somebody wants to express his opinion, you're welcome. Who wants to give it a try?
I can try, not based on a guess, but again, based on facts. Like the demand for pricing tools and data is increasing, and is related to those ETP.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, this is my personal opinion. This has nothing to do with Deutsche Telekom, and of course, it's completely, an idea. But I think the game the SEC plays is basically just to secure that the boys who are sitting on trillions of money right now will be the boys who will rule the market of Bitcoin. It's just a power play so that BlackRock gets their hands on the tokens, like figuratively spoken. So I think the chances that the Bitcoin ETF will be denied for, I don't know, the top 5 wealth management companies in the world, I think it's very, very slim. They must have a very, very, very good reason to do this. So I'm not 100% sure, but I think the ultimate date is the 10th of January. I think that's the date where they have to announce it. They have time in between. My guess is they wait until the very last day and then they will announce it. They will not give us a Christmas present. But again, it gives us the opportunity to buy some cheap coins, which is a good thing as well.
I mean, I see it the same way, but I mean, the point is we don't know what SEC is doing. They're a little bit special, let's say it in that way. But I mean, we have a customer in Switzerland who is issuing certificates, normal, old traditional certificates on Bitcoin, Ether, and I don't know,
From
the
Togo.
top whatever. No, and they're very successful. They're unbelievable successful. So the instrument is working, and if it's now a certificate or an exchange traded fund, whatever. I mean, it's the same principle. And I mean, yes, there's some mechanics in the background. I know I'm coming from the old traditional banking side, but what I want to say is, I mean, Switzerland had said, okay, so there is already, I don't know if there is something else somewhere else, but I see it also in a very, very high chance that the ETF is coming, yeah, and this will change the game.
The question is, when could it come? You know, because currently we see some discussions forth and back where the applications are changed, you know, by the applicants. And my feeling, you know, I don't know it in detail, but my feeling is that like a couple of weeks before you would go live with an ETF, you can't make such amendments anymore, right? At some point of time, these documents must be frozen, and therefore I'm skeptical about the January date. But let's see what happens. Sven, you should your head.
Well, Philip, it doesn't matter. I mean, it really doesn't matter. I mean, if it is now January, February, March, or if it comes in May or June, you know, it doesn't matter at all. If your time preference is low, or let's say not low, but if you say, okay, I'm going to live more than 5 years, I don't care. I don't care. So the fact is, or I think the chances of it not coming, and also this is a personal opinion, is extremely low. And so, and now everybody says, well, it's already priced in and stuff like that. I don't believe that. Personal opinion, I don't believe that. And because some of the, you know, all of the traditional old financial work that just doesn't work that way. You know, there is approval, and then you think about it a little longer, and then you think about it a little longer again and again, and then your competitor moves. And then everybody is waking up, and then you're all going through the same door at the same time. This is how traditional finance works.
Let's see how it unfolds. Dirk, what's your opinion?
I had mine. I said it already.
Okay, you want to add something here?
No, I guess we all, again, all agree. I think Philip might have to say something as well or add something, but
You already did.
So it's okay.
Yeah, I mean,
There's more demand.
Nothing to add.
So we see that the likelihood that the ETF is coming is extremely high. I think we agree on this.
Yes.
What happens or what needs to happen such that the Bitcoin ETF is not coming? What needs to happen? The only reason I could imagine is political influence, which would then kind of override the SEC. But as Sven pointed out, you know, it wouldn't matter because at the end of the day, the result would be the same, but with a longer delay. Who wants to add something here?
Yeah, I would say, like, what do you mean by political influence, Philip? Do you really think that, like, a politician in the United States will get involved and make the SEC to withdraw what they then just announced and confirmed? I doubt that. I think at the end, the Americans at the core are very, you know, freedom lovers, liberty, you know, personal choices, etc., etc. And there are a lot of senators and political figures who are pro-Bitcoin. I think once this decision is made, there is no going back, and I think they are not getting involved because I think there were discussions and they were basically wiped off the table. So I think it might be some technical details, as you mentioned. That's a good observation, Philip. I totally concur. I think it's very reasonable if they change something now. Maybe, you know, it's not the 10th. Maybe it's going to be a bit later. But then again, I'm with Sven. You know, it doesn't matter. Then it's February. You know, who gives a punct. You know, so yeah, then it's 4 weeks later. but it will come eventually, and nobody really, that's what I also agree, nobody really understands what will happen, because you think about the pension funds, they're just exactly as Sven described, and once they are getting in, it's like we will have a bottleneck which is like unprecedented, because they all want to go through that door. And then you're hitting a market where there is basically very, very low liquidity. And then we all know what happens when, you know, you have less supply but a lot of demand. So the price eventually will go up.
Yeah, so to also close it down, our panel discussion round, there are currently, I think, 2 million Bitcoin on exchanges. They are ready to be sold, and then that's it, right? So let's see what happens. I would agree here, and therefore let's be very, very looking forward to Q1, Q2 next year. I think that might be very exciting. Anybody wants to give a closing remark for this session?
Sven, come on.
Yeah, the last word before we then also soon entering Christmas holidays. Okay, I think to do it myself, I think it's really worth it to explore Bitcoin right now, Ethereum as well, and also try to dig into the markets, supply and demand, and see what might basically happen with the couple of features we discussed previously. You know, the macro stuff, the FTX topics which has been digested, the ETF topic, and so on and so forth. I think it will be very exciting the first 6 months of next year, and the world will look different thereafter. That's it. Very nice to have this very nice outlook for 2024 with you guys. Thanks much. Have a nice Christmas time, and then we meet back here in a couple of weeks for the next panel discussion. Thanks for being here, and thanks for everyone in the audience for listening. Thanks.
Thank you
Merry
very much.
Christmas.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Buy Bitcoin.